Welcome to Fitness Casual. We help you ditch diets and build habits no matter how busy you are. I'm Andrew Hayes, and with me is the radiant Kat Best.
Hello. I put on my extra serum today so I'd be glowing. I felt the
Did you?
pressure.
We do have this podcast on YouTube now. You might even be watching this live and see what we look like. I guess I have to be more attentive to the screen. Maybe stop picking my nose so much on air. Kidding, of course. We're talking about skin health today. Kat, do you have any skincare products you're really into right now?
So I'm a big skincare fan. I've tried so many things over the past few years, but one that has always stayed strong is like a really good serum. Good quality serum. I like oils. I like really clean products, but I do love a serum. But lately, what's new for me is like a gua sha tool that has bumpy ridges on one side. So I actually use it to kind of go along the fascia of my face, but the ridges, almost like a foam roller, I use to kind of break up knots in the muscle tissue on my face. So it's really good around my jaw. I'll do it around like my nose area to kind of, help anywhere wrinkles form. But I started doing that like a few months ago and I love it. It's like scraping your face. And
what was that?
It
what was that
feels
word?
so good. What,
What's
gua
it called?
sha?
Yeah.
A gua sha. You don't know what a gua sha is? Oh
No.
my God. Leah doesn't use one.
She might. I have to ask her.
Okay. Yeah, it's like the classic. It's like a little, or it's like jade. It's like a rock, like a flat rock that you use to kind of like lift the face. But it's good for detoxing and kind of can like get things out. And there's a whole way you like drain it and stuff. But it does feel really good. And I have a lot of jaw tension, so I actually kind of use it around my jaw area, like those muscles, and it feels wonderful. Like the same way, I don't know if you've ever had a scalp massage or someone like rub your face. It's like that.
Okay.
So it's really nice. But yeah, I'm a big fan. But otherwise, serums, simple moisturizers, those are my go-tos.
Okay. I'll have to check that out. I have had battles with TMJ in the past, so maybe it'll help with that. I have heard of scraping more from like a mobility perspective, which I know has some science behind it. So maybe it's similar to that, where you can just take like a butter knife and scrape your
It's all about
muscles.
blood flow.
Yep.
There isn't much blood flow in the face, so it's kind of like massaging things around. It really just helps move things through. But you'll see, like, if you look up before and afters of people who gua sha, you'll see their face just like lifts straight up if you do it over time.
Cool.
So that's
Gua
what
sha.
I'm trying to do here.
Okay. I will check it out. We're also doing a mobility episode soon that we're already preparing for, so maybe we'll throw some of that in there too.
Yeah.
Well, I am pretty new to skincare. I just got into it pretty much this year outside of sunscreen, so I'm not going to have any kind of earth-shattering recommendations here, except I'm a big fan of, if there's any parents listening, the sunscreen stick for kids. So I live in Colorado now. We are 5,000 feet in the air, which is crazy. So it's like living in California, it's a lot easier to get sunburned in Colorado, even in the winter, which is kind of an interesting fact, but it makes sense. And so it's just so hard to put sunscreen on kids. And so I buy the stick. Beach Bum has a really good one, and you pay a little extra for it, but it's just so easy when they're running out the door to just kind of like rub their face real quick. And it's so important because, my son has my complexion. He's already got freckles. You really want to, take care of that now. We don't want him getting crow's feet at like 14 or worse. So yeah, the stick sunscreen for the parents, I highly recommend stocking up on a bunch of those.
I love that. I do SPF every day, no matter how dark or gloomy it is. I always do SPF in the morning. And when I tell you, I have torched my skin. I have destroyed my skin. I love being tan. Growing up, I had a pool in my backyard, New Jersey. Like, we are tanning. We are slathering baby oil on. We are doing whatever it takes to be tan. And I'm paying the price now, but, if I can send anything out there, like, don't destroy your skin in your younger years. So make sure your kids get it. Because I didn't care, and now I'm like, oof, what did I do?
So true. I was going to do the hot start was, have you ever been tanning? But I think from New Jersey, it's obvious. So some people are saying like, what, tanning at Gym Tan Laundry? That's where we're from, Kat. We can't change our roots, Well, we are not going to talk about products today. We actually considered bringing a dermatologist on and kind of getting into that, but it just would be a really long episode. And so we're really going to focus more on the functional side. And Kat, where you are an expert in all of the decisions you make and kind of what goes into your skin health long term. But I know we want to start with just like some really basic stuff that I think a lot of people don't understand, like the skin barrier and how our choices affect that. So is that where you want to kick it off?
Yeah, for sure. I want to start by just talking about the skin because, like, I think we obviously all have skin, but like no one thinks about skin beyond the face. Skin's incredible. It is the largest organ of the body, and it's like 16 to 22 square feet and weighs about 8 pounds. And what I always think is crazy is if we didn't have skin, we would just fall apart. Like, skin is keeping our bodies in there. It's pretty wild stuff. So think of like what an important job your skin does from protecting your insides from not getting messed up from the outside world and vice versa. So skin is like absolutely massive. And I think we all take it for granted to just have skin that functions well. And then the moment it doesn't, whether it's you have acne or you get a rash or, you know, you get something fungal, that's when you start paying attention to your skin. We totally don't appreciate it when we're young and soft and everything is like amazing, and skincare issues ruin people's lives. Like having chronic acne as a teenager really, really can ruin people's self-confidence, especially also when you get it as an adult, or, you know, for women, sometimes when they're pregnant, all of a sudden their skin goes like completely haywire. Like, it's very disruptive. It can make you not want to go outside. And I can relate to all of these things. I've had poor skin moments, but I've overall haven't had major issues. But I know people who are like riddled with acne, and I know it's like truly life altering to have skin issues. So this is really important to understand how these things form. So we have a skin barrier. And if you want to have healthy, strong skin, you need to have a strong skin barrier. And there are 3 layers to the skin. I'm not going to get into that because it doesn't really matter, but just know like your skin barrier is the first line of defense. It keeps moisture in and it keeps toxins and bacteria out. So when your barrier becomes damaged, you know, your skin can become dry, sensitive, red, more prone to breakouts or inflammation in general. And people often are just like, oh, I have acne or I'm aging, and they don't actually realize that they're just doing things that are worsening this skin barrier and the skin microbiome. Like, you have a whole microbiome on your skin of bacteria and oils and things that need to be there and need to be in balance. You know, just the same way your gut has like trillions of microbes, your skin has that too. And if you strip that or you just treat the skin improperly, it will, of course, impact the quality and the texture and functionality of the skin. And just like anything else, when we look at it from a functional lens, you do need to understand the root cause. You know, you aren't getting acne because you're randomly getting acne. You're getting acne for a reason. So we need to look at that and go, what's triggering this to form? Instead of just going, oh, I have acne, let me like pop some salicylic acid on there, or, you know, do some sort of peel, or, you know, people go on Accutane, like do really extreme things to improve their skin without addressing the root cause. So you might temporarily fix it, but it might come right back. And the skin is also a window to what's happening in your body. So your gut health, hormones, nutrients, inflammation, your body's ability to detox, all of that is shown in your skin. So if I see someone who has skin issues, my first thought is like, what's going on in the gut? You know, what's going on with the skin barrier? Are they not detoxing properly? You know, are they constipated? Like, yes, if you're constipated, you know, that can cause skin issues because things are not just coming out when they should be. So they're kind of staying in your body and they manifest in specific ways. So those are, you know, always keep in mind that your skin is just letting you know what's actually going on the inside. And also overuse of these really harsh products, antibacterials, you know, all of that can damage your microbiome. And we live in a world that is like very intense when it comes to the antibacterial stuff. And that could be, you know, really putting damage on your skin quality. I go to a martial arts gym where people are very afraid of like staph and ringworm and all these things, and rightfully so, because it's like pretty shitty when you get one of those. But applying antibacterial soap or lotion to your skin every day can really give you some serious skin issues and almost make you more susceptible to things because you're weakening that skin barrier. So, you know, we just have to keep in mind the skin is far more complex than you think.
And I'll just add to that, I had I have pretty good skin now, I like to think, but I had really bad skin in college, acne, all that stuff. And I just always think back to the terrible choices that I made in college, which was fine. You know, I was young and felt like I was kind of invincible and all that, like I think a lot of people do when they're 21. A lot of drinking, a lot of fried foods, a lot of poor sleep, you know, all the bad things from the functional lens. And my acne was horrendous. So, of course, I go to the doctor and they're like, here's your tetracycline, which has a host of side effects, including making you more susceptible to sunburn, which I already have as a pasty person. And so, yeah, it's just funny to look back and be like, man, I probably could have just managed that myself had I been a little more mature about it. So I think a lot of people kind of already understand what you're saying. And that doesn't mean that there aren't times we need to intervene, but we'll give you a lot of tips today to maybe not end up in that place where you need to go and seek medication, which can weaken the skin.
Yeah, absolutely. I was pretty fortunate as a teenager. I didn't really struggle with acne and breakouts until I was like 25. All of a sudden, I had these deep hormonal cysts on my face. And this is so common for women where you're cruising, you think you're out of like acne zone, and all of a sudden you get hit with that hormonal acne. And I had breakouts that were like so deep in my skin. They were not on like the level to just pop a pimple. I would also like dig holes in my face trying to get to it. Like, I know people are listening right now who like to pick their skin. Like, I couldn't stop because I was just like, let me get to this. And I wanted to pop. So I'm digging holes in my face. Oh my God, it was so bad. And I finally went to a dermatologist. But if I rewind a little bit, this also happened after I started getting into skincare products. I didn't really care about my skin until I was 25. I remember like someone saying to me who was a little bit older, and she was like, look, you got to start taking care of your skin. And I was shook because I was like, oh my God, you're right. I don't wash my face. So I started a few products, all is good. And then a few turns into like 10. And now I'm doing a 12 step and I'm doing everything possible. I'm doing the exfoliants, the acids, and for temporarily, this stuff makes your skin feel baby soft. And also when you do it and you get like this like tingling red, like this redness, you're like, ooh, it's working. You know, meanwhile, all that stuff is just stripping your skin. And I had no idea about just like basic hydration. So I went to the derm, and then they put me on spironolactone. And at this time, of course, I'm like desperate. I'm like, I'll do anything. I'm also like on birth control already, which is supposed to help. So it's like another thing. Spironolactone is also a blood pressure medication. It's not meant for acne. They just found that it lowers like androgens in women, so it can calm down that cystic buildup. So it's not doing anything other than like altering my hormones. And the side effects include like getting dizzy, peeing a lot because it's like a diuretic effect, so you can get really dizzy. I probably stayed on it for maybe like 2 years, and then one day just randomly stopped taking it. Nothing happened, like nothing changed. But my skin did get better. It really did. But I also started seeing an esthetician for a facialist to also tell me, and she was like, your skin is so dehydrated. Meanwhile, I'm drinking a gallon of water per day, okay? So I'm like, you can't tell me I'm dehydrated. And that's when I started to understand, like, oh, perhaps putting peels on my face and acids every night, because I feel like I'm like accelerating the process of like turnover, whatever. I was just making it a lot worse. So then I've really dialed back. Now I use like two things: a serum, a moisturizer. You do not need all of that stuff, like totally not at all. But my journey, I think, really is what a lot of other women are going through because of the amount of stuff they put on their face. And makeup. Like, makeup is huge. Makeup can torch your skin barrier, especially if you're a little sensitive to what's in there. So this is just a lesson that if there's anything, like regardless of my nutritionist status, I think skin needs hydration and it doesn't need much else. So you should moisturize, and then you probably don't need much else other than that. But to fix your skin, we have to address what's wrecking your skin. You cannot go right to trying all of these healing things, or even changing your diet might not work if you don't have some idea of what's working against your skin. So that's where I want everyone to explore first. So one could definitely be what I just mentioned of like over exfoliating, too many acids, too many peels. You know, if your skin is turning bright red and tingly when you do something, maybe don't do that all that often. Like, I know it feels good in the moment, but that's usually a sign of just you're weakening your skin barrier. And then obviously product overload, especially if you're doing products that have fragrances and endocrine disruptors in there. Like, that is in fact we know that things can disrupt your hormones by putting them on your skin. You're literally injecting it into your face, so that will impact your body as a whole, but definitely will impact the skin microbiome if you're putting synthetic things on there, or, you know, if you're getting a product and you don't know exactly what's in there, who knows? Like, they could put anything in there, or especially if you're getting cheapy ones on Amazon, and who knows what's in there? Like, what are you putting on your face? So I would say, like, stop doing those things. And then not cleansing properly. You got to wash your face multiple times per day. I do it morning, night, and after my workouts.
Multiple,
now, you
wow.
don't have to, yes, you do not have to wash your face like in the sink with soap, but I do a micellar water. I'm a big fan of that. It's pH balanced. So in the morning when I get up, I'll like do that. I'll like wipe my face down with that and then apply my product. And then at night, I wash my face. I do another layer of the micellar water. You're just trying to get the layers of gunk off, because even if you don't wear a lot of like face makeup, like for me, I don't wear foundation or anything. You're walking around, things build up during the day on your face. So you got to just remove that. Washing your face is very important, but I don't think you need to go super crazy. But I think an area that people don't consider is cleansing it in the morning, because maybe it's clean before you go to bed, but when you sleep, you could sweat, things build up. So like cleanse it one more time, but keep your cleansers like really, really simple. Nothing super crazy. And if you have bacteria on the skin, it just can lead to more clogged pores. So clogged pores can breathe, they can allow things to come in and out as they should. So that's one thing to do. If you're not cleansing properly, I don't care how many omega-3s you eat, you might not be, making as much progress. So wash your face, at least at the end of the day, but even better if you can do it in the morning too. This takes 2 seconds. This is not hard. Another thing, obviously, is high stress. We just did a big podcast on high stress, so you see how it impacts every part of the body. But cortisol, when it's elevated, can actually degrade collagen. It can impair your recovery time. And so this will increase aging or decrease skin elasticity. And really what people want when they want healthy, glowing skin, or they want to, not have as many wrinkles, they want elastic skin that is responsive and bouncy, where it's not just like dry, brittle, not responding to any type of moisturizer. And you can moisturize your face all day long, but if it's not receiving it and the skin barrier is like damaged, then that's definitely like an internal to external thing. So your stress can totally accelerate aging. And I think, sure, we all want glowing skin, but most women especially just want to age slower in the face. Don't care so much about the body, but it's like if we can keep our face, to reduce the amount of Botox or filler or like the, plastic surgery, all of that stuff, a lot of that has to do with skin quality and people trying to improve it. So reduce your stress, you may see that your skin actually improves, and it's all about skin elasticity there. And then of course we have poor diet. If you are eating a bunch of refined sugars, maybe a lot of dairy, nutrient lacking foods, this just causes inflammation and damage to your skin cell. So I think this is a really fun fact. It takes 28 to 40 days for new skin cells to reach the surface. So what you ate today will impact your skin in 4 to 6 weeks from now. Brutal, I know, but
wow.
That's just like skin is not responding immediately, to something you ate, but it's much further down the chain. So that's why if you have to do a food removal for skin quality, you better be doing it for a long period of time, because you need that cellular turnover window to actually happen. I've met women in the past who were like, yeah, I didn't eat dairy for 2 weeks, but it didn't help my breakouts. It's like, well, that's not nearly enough for any of that to happen. But we just have to understand how skin works to also understand how to heal skin. And of course, have to mention the menstrual cycle. There are periods of the time when you have your period or ovulating that you are more prone to breakouts. If you're getting them and you're kind of in a healthy place, you might get a little bit, maybe a little bit of redness, a few breakouts. You should not be getting hardcore like hormonal cystic acne. That would be a sign of something is more off, but I do think maybe noticing you get a few breakouts around, after ovulation, around your period, that's pretty normal. And I don't think you need to go like crazy mode to figure out what's going on there. But I do think you should monitor it. So like when I do my like menstrual cycle tracking, there's a button for acne. So you can actually just log every day you have acne.
Wow.
And you can see if it correlates to like, is it the same week of the month? Well, then that's what's going on. So that's just like a good little indicator there. But you know, same way with scale fluctuations and weight and all that, like your menstrual cycle does definitely impact your skin when it comes to breakouts just because of that hormonal fluctuation.
Well, I do want to just emphasize, because you've covered a lot already. I know we talk so much about nutrition in what we do, but I want to emphasize the impact of product overload, as you mentioned, not just skincare, but also anything that touches your skin. And so I have eczema, and so I am hypersensitive to these things. So my whole life I've been using laundry soap without perfume. And it used to be, we talked about in the autoimmune episode how isolating it can be to have an autoimmune issue. People used to make fun of me. Like I would travel and be like, oh, I can't wash my clothes with that soap. I'm going to go buy some. And they'd be like, what kind of freak are you that you like can't use Tide? Everyone in the world uses Tide. And I'm like, just trust me. And the same with hand soap, like especially the ones that come in the pump, they often smell like this and that. So what I've noticed is just because you don't have eczema or psoriasis or some other very obvious condition doesn't mean those aren't impacting you. Like just take it from me. Sometimes that makes all the difference. Outside of hydration and eliminating the triggers from my diet, nothing has a bigger impact on my eczema than perfumes and dyes, and they're everywhere. Every hotel soap, every laundry, all that stuff. The clothes that you buy, like they come in the chemicals. Again, like not trying to be conspiracy theorist, just this is truthfully like very documented. So just remember that, like try to avoid that stuff if you can. It just is still having an impact on your skin, even if you don't see the flare-ups that someone with an autoimmune issue might see.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And I think if you all of a sudden are getting skin issues or rashes or itchiness like out of nowhere, definitely look to your detergent. Did you change something? Like that could be that. Or just see if you added anything in new, because that could just be it. You don't necessarily need to go down this whole detective route. If you just real quick just say like, oh, did I try anything new? That could be just something that you need to rule out. But yes to the fragrances. I try to avoid those. I used to buy a lot of things with fragrances because I liked it. It would smell good, whatever. And then you realize like, no, not good for you. So that's like a pretty easy tweak to make.
Yeah, this is a slight tangent, but Mind Pump, which is I think one of the biggest fitness podcasts, if you all don't know, we'll be them one day, maybe. They just did an episode on the top 10 things that lead to increased mortality. And it was pretty enlightening. Of course, smoking and, diabetes and all this stuff are on there that you think. But one of the top, I think it was in the top 5 was household chemical exposures. So like Glade plugins and mold. And so some of them are just, not related to buying a product, but a lot of them are. And so it's just kind of crazy, like how much stuff we buy that has this scent or this dye or this preservative. And you're like, yeah, whatever, it's fine because people use it and it's at the grocery store. But like I said, having eczema my whole life, it's pretty amazing how manageable it is just avoiding all of that nonsense. So shout out to, Method and Hello and all these companies that get rid of all that stuff. It's like, it's fantastic.
Yeah, it's so easy to get better quality cleaning products these days.
Yep.
It's really easy. Just got to seek it out. Okay, so nutrition habits for glowing skin. So now that we've addressed or we're trying to figure out what could be leading to the root cause, let's talk about things you can do that are within your control. One, and I would say the most important one, would be gut health. Also linking back to autoimmune, there could be something gut related there. But the gut and the skin are deeply, deeply connected. There's a whole thing called like the gut-skin axis. Gut dysbiosis will show up in the skin. So gut dysbiosis could look like leaky gut, which is basically increased intestinal permeability. So toxins are going through the bloodstream, causing an inflammatory response in the skin. So bloating or gas you might have actually could be correlated to skin issues you might be having. It's all speaking the same language. So, and gut dysbiosis is just a way to say there's like an imbalance of bacteria. We're not diagnosing you with SIBO. I'm not saying you have candida or anything like that. Like anyone can have a gut dysbiosis. It's quite common. So I would say like address that first. And also, if you do have a gut issue, there can be malabsorption. So if you're not absorbing all the nutrients, that can impact your skin. Nutrients that are very special for skin would be zinc, vitamin A, and omega-3s. So if you have a gut issue, maybe you're consuming a bunch of those, but you're not absorbing it and your body's not able to use it in the way that you think it might be. So approaching it from like the gut health lens is really good. And that could be as simple as adding a probiotic rich food every day, kimchi, sauerkraut, yogurt, kombucha, or prebiotic rich foods, which are like asparagus, garlic, onions. Maybe you just need to add more of those things in to support your gut biome, or eat more fiber, all of that stuff. But if those aren't working, then maybe we need to do something a little heavier hitting, which could be removing gluten or dairy, or something that's an inflammatory trigger. For some people, it could be soy or corn, eggs even. Like, there are foods that tend to be more problematic than others, but I do think if I work with someone who has like major skin issues they really are like upset by, I think removing dairy can be a good one, because that can be linked to estrogen dominance, which then can cause like the oil buildup. So I think pick one at a time. Don't do a bunch. But if you want to just pick one, maybe one that feels easiest to start with for you, like that could be good to try. But like I mentioned earlier, skin turnover takes a long time. So you got to stick with this for, 6 weeks. Try it. I would say like maybe like 2 months, 3 months would be good, but definitely don't do it for like 2 weeks and then decide it didn't work. You have to do that for a little bit longer just to see the impacts on skin. And then if your gut feels okay, it seems like nothing's going on there, then let's always look to balancing out blood sugar levels. This obviously has a lot to do with stress, but there is something called glycation, which is caused from repeated spikes in blood sugar. This is where sugar binds to collagen and elastin. So this makes that very stiff and brittle. So this is what also leads to accelerated aging. So yes, your blood sugar imbalances can make your skin more brittle. So it's not supple, it's not hydrated. It will be dull. You can age faster. So this is why imbalanced blood sugar, can spike cortisol, and it can make you look old faster. We see people who are super high stressed, like they always use like the president, right? You see him after 4 years, it's like, whoa, what happened? Oh my God, a glycation right there.
Yeah.
But, this is really what happens. And guys, this is not reversible. If you do this damage, it's not coming back, but all you can do is slow it down. So we're just trying to slow down that accelerated aging process by balancing your blood sugar levels, which, we've talked about this a million times, but balancing your blood sugar is as simple as having protein at every meal and fiber at every meal. That's really all you have to do. Avoid eating carbs on their own, so like no naked carbs. Make sure if you have anything starchy, you're just having it with a protein, fat, or fiber. But if you just get your 30 grams of protein at every meal, hit about 25 to 40 grams of fiber per day, you're going to do a much better job there when it comes to balancing your blood sugar. So what you eat and how you eat it and when actually does matter. So, always keep that in mind. And I think when I just learned about glycation specifically, and I looked up like before and after photos, I was like, wow, this is really interesting. But it's exactly what happens when the skin just loses its elasticity. Like, it's not coming back.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Okay, so then we obviously have hydration. This is one every single person can do right now, starting today. Water keeps your skin cells plump, and it also helps flush toxins from the body. If you have a buildup of toxins, it could come out in your skin. So, you need to drink water to be able to use the bathroom to flush toxins. And all you have to do is drink about half your body weight in ounces of water minimum. And then if you wanted to add about 20 to 25 ounces from there, I think that's a little bit more of an optimal range. But right now, think about how much you weigh, divide that by 2. That's how much water I want you to drink per day. And even better if you add electrolytes, because that's part of the whole hydration balance equation. But you can just eat more mineral-rich foods. You can add electrolyte supplement. You could just add salt to your water. Like, you do not need to go buy an electrolyte packet. You can just easily salt your water more, like good quality sea salt, and that will definitely help with hydration. Or eat more water-dense foods. Eat more veggies and fruits, cucumber, broccoli, lettuce, like all of that stuff is very hydrating. So if you add more foods like that into your diet, It's good for inflammation and it's good for hydrating you. And they have minerals. So it's kind of like, a win-win-win all around. So definitely like do those 3 things: gut health, balance blood sugar, drink more water, and you can get pretty far. So the last one here would be looking at specific nutrients you should be eating more of. And this is where we get a little more specific, but these things are available in foods you should be eating anyway, like good quality, nutrient-dense whole foods. But these are the specific ones if you're like, oh, I want to target my skin a little more. Let's focus on these guys. So one would be omega-3s. They are anti-inflammatory. They also help your body stay hydrated and calm irritated skin. But it really helps with the inflammation you could have. So eat more salmon, mackerel, sardines, flaxseed, walnuts, chia seed, or take a good quality fish oil supplement. I myself just started maybe like 2 months ago taking my fish oil supplement again. I kind of stopped it for a little while for no clear reason, but I brought it back because I'm like, you know what, Kat, you're not doing it. You're not eating enough salmon. I don't eat enough fish. It's just not happening. So I brought my supplement back. Can't say anything has changed about my skin, but I feel good doing it because I know that's something that's like totally a gap in my diet and I'm not addressing it. So I'm going to take a supplement.
Good for you. It's tough. Omega-3 is, the
It's
fish
hard,
oil in particular.
yeah.
So we're doing supplements next week. So we'll maybe cover that. But yeah, that's a tough one. I don't blame you.
Yeah, it's a tricky one. And then we have vitamin E. So vitamin E is an antioxidant that protects skin cells from damage. I do consume a lot of vitamin E. And I do this almost on purpose. This is why I eat an avocado pretty much every single day. Very rich in vitamin E. Almonds, spinach, nuts, and seeds. Those are also very rich in vitamin E. I personally slather jojoba oil all over my body every single day. It is a single ingredient, so it's just jojoba oil. It is like pure vitamin E. I don't use any other moisturizer that has like a single chemical in it. No CeraVe, no whatever CVS store. I don't use that stuff. Not telling you not to, but I just would rather put like straight vitamin E right on my body. I think it's very pure, clean. I also like oils, but more vitamin E, the better for skin elasticity. There is some study, I forget the specifics of it, but it was like women who ate more avocado, like a drastic improvement in their skin health overall. So I think avocados are kind of like a wonder food because you also get the good fats, vitamin E, fiber, so you can pick one food or a few foods to add that can go very far when it comes to this stuff.
What was the name of that oil? I've never heard of it.
Jojoba. Jojoba. You could do grapeseed oil too, but yeah, it's also like $8 online. Like, stop buying expensive moisturizers. I just use like single ingredient oils and serums. Very simple stuff. And then we have good old vitamin A. So if anyone's taken retinol, which I have, I don't currently, but I have in the past. And vitamin A just speeds up cellular turnover. So if you take retinol, you are just making your skin cells turn over faster. So maybe, actually have no idea how much faster it gets, but if it's a little bit faster, it kind of also, definitely helps people like look a little bit younger, helps with wrinkles. But if we're looking at prescription retinol, there is a downside of sun exposure will torch your face. All sorts of like other things. Women, when they're pregnant, they can't take it, which is like, what does that mean about it? I don't know. But that's what vitamin A is. It's like, or retinol is just pure vitamin A. So you can eat that. Sweet potatoes, carrots, eggs are very rich in vitamin A. I eat a lot of carrots and sweet potatoes, so I've always felt like my vitamin A is like really high. But that's, I think a really simple thing. A lot of foods have vitamin A in it. So just a little bit more of that, can go a long way.
That is also, the one topical prescription that I use in my very limited skincare routine is tretinoin, however you pronounce it, which is a derivative of vitamin A. And I think I've asked like 14 different dermatologists, and they're all just like, if you're going to do one thing besides sunscreen, it's the tretinoin. So yeah, vitamin A, again, not a dermatologist, but I've asked many a dermatologist. I'm friends with all of them because of my skin, and they all recommend it.
Yeah, it's definitely effective. So it's definitely something I would agree. The time I was put on spironolactone, I was also put on retinol. So it was like it's like a double whammy. But you will notice like your skin get better. And I think, if anyone wants to take that, that's a personal choice. Most people know what I'm talking about and might be doing it themselves. But just know it's just vitamin A, and you can get that in through other methods if you want. Okay, so we also have zinc. So zinc, I think, is like a very forgotten important nutrient when it comes to skin because it does help regulate oil production, it helps wound healing, and it does help breakouts. I have heard a lot of people have benefits from just applying like zinc to their face straight if they have breakouts. I never did it, so I'm not sure, but I know it's a thing and I know it's a treatment that people use, which also just speaks to the power of a nutrient if you are lacking it. So pumpkin seeds, cashews, oysters are incredibly high in zinc. Chickpeas, like there's a lot of foods that have zinc in it. I'm a big, like I like pumpkin seeds like a couple times per week because I think it does check some boxes that I don't get otherwise. So I think that's a good one. But zinc is also something when people get sick a lot, their bodies tend to be deficient in, big immune component there. So that could kind of also loop back to, the immune system. And if your immune system is not strong, it definitely can impact your skin. So zinc could be a good one there. And I would always say, like, try eating more foods than have it than taking a supplement. Zinc is a very easy supplement to take, but much better for you if you just eat foods that have it first. And then you could always take a supplement if you determine that that isn't working or it's something you want to try.
And as far as I understand, stop taking it while you're sick because it's too late and it does nothing. But zinc's always the big one. They're like, oh, when you have a cold, just take zinc. I don't believe, as far all the research I've checked is like, at that point, whatever vitamin you're taking is worthless.
Yeah. Yes, I agree. What's that stuff? It's that over the counter. It's like pure zinc. I'm forgetting what it is. Zicam.
Oh yeah. Yep.
That's like pure zinc. Yeah. And I know that's like a big one. And I like did that for a little while and I'm like, this is like absolutely nothing. But I get it. It's like really hard to know what works, what doesn't.
Yeah. Zicam can mess with your sense of smell and whatever. Anyway.
That's crazy.
Topic for another day. Maybe we'll revisit our popular pills episode
Yes.
and do round 2.
Part 2. Okay, so last but not least is collagen and protein, of course. Like, we almost forget these are nutrients. I talk about protein so much I kind of forget sometimes that it like is actually just a nutrient. And technically it is a supplement. But if you're eating enough collagen and protein, that really supports skin elasticity and firmness. You definitely need to be eating enough. And this is why like a collagen supplement I think is very popular right now for a few reasons. One, it has protein in it. It's not a complete protein though, so not the same effects on muscle protein synthesis, just be aware. But collagen itself has a lot of benefits for your skin. I take collagen every day. I put it in my coffee. I also do a collagen. I do one from Vital Proteins that has hyaluronic acid in it and vitamin C. But the hyaluronic acid does help with moisture, and that's why hyaluronic acid is the number one ingredient in moisturizers. So you can also take it in powder form and it can kind of help. There's some research on this and I think there's something to it, but working with so many women, when they start introducing a collagen, especially if they were a little deficient in it, they tend to see really good results with hair, skin, nails, glowing skin. I had someone just be like, I'm just trying to hit more protein. I can't believe my skin is glowing. And I was so happy to hear that because I didn't even think about that. But she's like, yeah, this is this is incredible. And, and she was like, I will put collagen in my coffee for the rest of my life. Collagen in coffee is very easy too. It tastes like nothing, blends right up. So I'm always trying to put women on that if they're interested because I think it's an easy hack. But you could also consume more bone broth, good quality proteins, chicken, fish, legumes even. But if you aren't eating enough protein, which we've had with some of our clients who do have skin issues and they come to us to work on their skin issues, I see that they don't eat nearly enough protein, so we just increase protein and that can go quite far as well. And obviously helps balance the blood sugar, so you're getting a million positive benefits from eating more protein, but definitely a big part of the skin equation. But I do think collagen could be a good angle for people to look at. If you do eat enough protein, just try consuming more collagen. And bone broth, I think, is the easiest way, but definitely a supplement can, go very far for you there.
So actionably, it's not a complete protein. So if you're trying to supplement, whey or maybe casein would be a better choice first. So is it for people who are hitting their protein goal mostly with food or a complete supplement like whey, then you would add collagen? Is that what you recommend?
Yeah, or I think
Okay.
of them as like they have two different needs, so they do both. Like I use a protein powder, I actually use a beef-based one, but I would do whey. And then I have collagen for like what I want collagen to do. But I'm not, if I'm low on my protein for the day, I'm not then using collagen to get there.
Got it.
But I don't think it's the worst thing. But yes, you need to have like more other proteins in the diet. So I would say if you had to pick one, I would go with the whey protein. Don't do collagen. But
Got it.
I think people like them for different reasons. But just understand that they are different in nature, and you can't only have collagen.
Right.
If you,
Cool.
yeah.
Helpful.
Okay, so I think that's pretty much it when it comes to nutrients. And this is a lot of stuff, and I want to just really reinforce that this is very much not a quick fix. There will be nothing you do, no one thing that fixes your skin. Maybe temporarily in the moment seems like something kind of like really changed your skin, but you got to let it go through that cycle. You also have to have like your full menstrual cycle and kind of see like, is this actually working? And it can take a really long time. But one thing I want to mention is working with a really good esthetician, like for a facialist, to look at your skin, understand your skin the same way that, I could understand someone's food log or, whatever. A trainer understands a workout. An esthetician can really understand your skin. And it's different than going to a dermatologist. I absolutely loved time getting more frequent facials, and I learned a lot about my skin and what worked. So I think that's also good self-care. Yes, it could cost money, but I think if you are really struggling with your skin, do all the things we talked about, but also, maybe instead of going right to a dermatologist, go to like a skilled esthetician, and you might get a more personalized approach. And also they can be very compassionate. They understand like skin issues can be hard, but I just want to throw that out there that like I loved my experience doing that. Yes, it cost money, but I wouldn't have ever replaced it because it was very insightful. And, she helped me understand a lot of the things I just shared with you guys I had learned, from her. So definitely worth doing, but you got to address the underlying factors. Do not just go right on a medication if you haven't tried the stuff above. In fact, like going on specific medications might make things like your gut health or nutrient depletion just worse, which, means unless you want to take a medication for the rest of your life, you want to address those, underlying root causes. And skin, aside from aesthetically looking good, if we think of it from an aging perspective, that is lifelong. So you want to make habits to, help you with your skin health over, the rest of your life. Not one little thing you do, if you don't stick with it, will really make a big difference.
Yep. It's such a good indicator of your holistic health, one of many good indicators. And I had a steroid cream probably my whole life for my eczema and wasn't told, I guess I had a lot of bad dermatologists, but wasn't told until much later that it does weaken the skin and it can actually just put you in this vicious cycle where your eczema gets worse because you are weakening the first and I think even second layer of your skin with too much hydrocortisone. And so I'm happy to say I haven't used it in several years, and everyone has different levels. There are definitely some people who need to use that sometimes, but exactly your point. I mean, we've had clients on steroid creams, on antibiotics, on oral steroids who are just like, how do I get off of this? And we've really helped them with a diet approach. And so again, your mileage may vary. We can't promise that for everybody, but seek a second opinion. Of course, talk to an esthetician. I don't have one, Kat. Maybe I should get one.
Yeah.
But while we're on the subject of dermatologists, I will shout them out because they're super smart. And I strongly recommend to every single person on this planet, regardless of what your skin looks like, to get an annual skin check for skin cancer. I have friends who had melanoma in their 20s, which God forbid they didn't catch that. They wouldn't be with us today. I've had my wife went in for, I think, to renew one of her prescriptions. And the doctor was like, what's that on your neck? Skin cancer. So you just have to be really careful with that stuff. It's like we all probably had too much sun exposure when we were kids. Tanning, beach, whatever, just being stupid and not putting on sunscreen. And that will come back to haunt you. And there's nothing wrong with it if you catch it early for the most part. Most of these, the one my wife had was just that Mohs surgery where they just kind of cut out your skin. It doesn't spread, thankfully, like melanoma does. But you do have to address it. And so I recommend I go every year to my derm and they look at all my spots and everything. But it's really important to do that to get ahead of it, because if you catch it late, it's no good for you. So I just couldn't end this podcast without mentioning that.
Yeah, I agree. I actually just got a text from a dermatologist saying to come in for my skin check like this
Do it.
morning, which I laughed because I knew we were doing this. I was like, oh, yep. But I did my first one last year. Somehow I've like never done one. And she pointed out all sorts of things. She was like, did you know you have a freckle on the bottom of your foot? I'm like, no.
Ooh.
So they're finding all sorts of things. But yeah, definitely important. I fully agree.
Cool. Anything else we didn't mention, Kat?
I don't think so. Really got into it there, but all good stuff. Skin is fun. Skin is a fun time. So, and I know a lot of women spend so much money on their skincare products. So make better use of it by taking care of yourself better to make it go farther.
Yeah, Money with Katie Gaddy Tassin, who has a really famous podcast and blog about, she covers all kinds of topics related to money. She did a big deep dive last year into the like $1 billion skincare market and exposed how most of it is just nonsense. So definitely listen to that. It's really interesting. And again, like there's certain ones that will work in a time and a place, but if you're not doing the basics with the right nutrients, the hydration, all the stuff that Kat has outlined today, do it. My skin is the best it's ever been, and I'm almost 40.
Hey.
So it has nothing to do with the creams and everything. It's really just lifestyle choices. So don't overlook it.
Yeah, and if you're curious about anything I mentioned that I personally use, just message me on Instagram and I'll share with you what I use. Not that I think it's what's best, but I'm happy to share what I use. My jojoba oil.
Gua sha? Did I say it right?
Yeah, gua sha.
I'll have to go buy one of those. We also have a gluten-free, dairy-free guide. Mm-hmm. Gluten and dairy are both pretty popular triggers, as you mentioned, Kat, for skin conditions and lots of other conditions as well, which is why I put that guide together. So you can message either Kat or myself for this guide, and we'll happily send it to you. You can also find it in our Alta Life community, where we have lots of amazing people working on their skin and their holistic health, and you can find the link to that on WhatsApp. You can message me on Instagram at Andrew Hayes Life, and you can message Kat on Instagram at Kat Best Wellness. Any final words, Kat? Sunscreen?
Hydrate, wear your sunscreen, and wash your face.
Wash your face with jojoba. We'll see you for the next one, everybody.